Hi, Gina. My name is Ashley. I'm a social work intern from Gloucester County Mental Health Center. I'm sure you're aware that I was called out by the daycare center that Dominic is attending right now. They had a few concerns about, he's having some trouble staying in his seat. He's having trouble paying attention to what's going on in the class. He requires a lot of redirection. And they just called me out to see if maybe you've noticed any of these things. And are you able to tell me a little bit about, what's going on at home? Things like that?
Oh, well, he's just a little boy. How little boys, they rough and tumble. He's just a little excited. He's always been like that, though. We try to calm him down. We try to do everything we're supposed to be doing with him. I tried some, a routine and everything, but, Dominic's just he's a little hyper.
Okay, so you've seen a little bit of hyperactivity at home.
Yeah, and he doesn't really he doesn't like structure too much. I mean, we try to do that with him, but he doesn't really take to it. And, he gets very upset. He's very emotional.
Okay.
Yeah, he likes to have these outbursts. I call them temper tantrums.
Okay.
And I have a hard time controlling them, but I'm really concerned about this school thing because nobody was calling me up or sending me a note telling me that he wasn't doing good in school.
Okay, so you weren't even aware. No one had reached out to you.
Unaware.
His teacher did not reach out to you or anything like that. Okay. What are some things that you would say that Dominic does well at home with?
Well, he likes them video games.
Okay.
So he always wants my phone. And he likes to drive the cars on the video games. And he likes to play those little coin ones. And, for a little boy, I think he does pretty good.
Okay.
And when he finds something that he really does like, he seems to be, hyper-focused on it.
Okay.
If it's something. But to get him to break that, if I'll say, listen, Dominic, I want you to stop playing that game because we know it's dinner time. We have to have a battle. There's always going to be a battle. And, my little boy seems like he's so, he has so much turmoil inside. And I really just don't know how to help him through that.
Okay, so you have seen some things at home, that he's struggling with. But it seems like, once he's focused on something, he does it very well and he's, engaged in it. Yeah. So that's good. As far as how would you feel about possibly having him tested for ADHD? Are you aware what ADHD is and some of the symptoms?
No, not really. When we were growing up, they would just they would just say we was troubled children.
Yeah.
Because we was always getting into trouble. Because we couldn't sit still. And so no, I'm not really sure about what that all means. And how did he get that? Did that come from me?
So not necessarily. There's still. I don't think it's concrete as to whether, is it genetic? Is it, is it something they're eating? It could be all kinds of things. But, that's when a lot of times you'll see it is in children. There's adults that have had it their whole lives. But like you said, back in the day or, when, we were growing up and stuff, it was just knock it off, keep it moving and, But now they have things and early intervention programs where they can actually help the child and, learn skills. I could refer you over to agencies that could help you, help him be able to focus on tasks and be able to, like you said, when it's time to cut off that video game, that there's not that fight or that tantrum that happens.
So somebody would try to help me.
Right. They also have medications, but I know a lot of times parents, especially, are, they don't want to give a bunch of medications to their children. And that's understandable because they're growing and there's, certain things. And a lot of times with the ADHD medications, they will, they're stimulants, so it can affect growth and stuff like that. So I can understand, not wanting to take that step. But I'm just asking you, would you be okay with possibly, if I set you up with another person to talk to, just bringing Dominic in and talking to the therapist to see, what she sees, maybe do some type of testing. It wouldn't be anything too hard for Dominic to do, but just trying to see where he's at.
So does that something that will happen when he goes to his preschool, or do we set up an appointment when we go together?
So I would help you set that all up.
Oh, okay.
I would refer you to the agency. to have Dominic meet with a therapist, maybe even a psychiatrist, depending on, who's available, and just kind of having Dominic probably do like usually computer test. They have different tests that they do for the children, and to kind of see, where he's at developmentally.
Okay.
Have you noticed any developmental delays or anything?
Well, he has like a couple friends, and his little friends seem to be a little bit more mature than he is. But I have to think like, I just think like Dominic is my Dominic is just hyper, and I don't know if they're hyper or not. Those kids, you know how kids can be. But so I would say like, yeah, maybe it feels like some of the 4-year-olds might just be a little bit calmer, and they're not getting yelled at as much as Dominic is.
Okay. So you have noticed a little bit of difference, like when
like
he
an
has
immaturity.
Okay, so immaturity. Okay.
Now, were you contacted from the daycare center about the paint incident?
No, they didn't mention that. Because I saw that.
Was that something that somebody saw?
Well, I noticed
Oh,
that
you-
when I walked in.
Oh,
Yeah.
when he was in his little playroom?
Yeah.
He was eating paint?
Yeah.
Well, I saw some area, and I just didn't know what it was. A lot of times I take his little foot in there, and he likes to kick and
Okay.
hit a certain part of the wall, but I didn't realize that he was actually eating the paint. Now,
Yeah.
that's not lead.
Yeah.
Because I had to sign something before I moved in here that said there's no lead paint in here.
Right.
But-
yeah. So I mean,
But he was actually eating it? You
Yeah.
witnessed that yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
yeah.
How you stop that?
Well, that's what I said. I think that, maybe, having him meet with a therapist and kind of talk to him and see, where he's at, and we want to focus also, not just focusing on the negative things, but, what are his strengths? What are some things that he does well when he's at home? Because we want to focus on those things too. When he's doing well, or, for instance, if he's, playing the video game and he gets off the game well,
Yes.
for whatever reason, praising him, like, you did a great job, Dominic, getting off that game when it was time, I'll give you some extra time later, something like that.
Or if I don't have to yell at him 17 times to do something,
Right.
and maybe only 15 times that day.
Right. And maybe it's not that Dominic is trying to, go against what you're saying or anything, or, he's doing it on purpose. He just might not be able to end that task right that moment.
You
when
mean like
want
there's
him
something
to.
inside of him?
Right, that he's...
Like there's no break?
Right. He's so super
Oh.
focused on it that maybe, you
I'm
telling him to
interrupting him.
stop him. Right. That, So it's just like looking at it from that. He might not just, be doing that to like upset you or to not listen to you. It's more, maybe there's something else going on.
Well, with this thing, what did you call it?
The agent?
ADH? What?
Oh, ADHD.
So does this thing, is it a disease?
So it's not really a disease. It's more of a disorder. So like
Okay.
if someone had like anxiety, depression, things like that, similar to that, right? But we see the ADHD a lot more in the children. That's the time you would see it because of going to daycares and schools and things like that. There might not be anything, it might not be ADHD. This could be, like you said, immaturity or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, the daycare teacher there, I guess observing, she's with the kids all the time. I'm assuming she observed something that repeatedly that wasn't, that
So-
maybe not all the kids were doing or,
So with this condition, like, is it common for the little kids to have, like, I don't know, like, I guess I would call it like an impulse thing. I don't know what the proper word is.
No,
What
no,
is it
you're
called?
right. No,
Impulse
you're right.
something?
You're right. Yes, though they would have trouble with controlling their impulses, right?
Oh, okay.
So maybe something pops in their head. Let me go climb on the table and stand there.
Okay.
They're just going to do it.
Okay.
Instead of like where, someone even older, like I said, it could still just be his age. He's young still, like to be able to make that decision. But he may do things where he's not thinking, before he does it.
And he's only 4 years old. I just don't understand why he's so angry.
Yeah.
Does that have something to do with it as well?
So it could, and that's why I think, our best move would be, and of course, you are his mother, so, I don't want to push you into anything, But, you know, I want to make a recommendation too. I was called out here and I really appreciate you talking to me and everything. And, you know, I just want to lay out some options for you.
Okay.
And like I said, just because, you know, you're taking Dominic to go see a specialist, you know, a therapist or, you know, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't mean, you know, that you have to put them on meds or you have to agree with what they're saying. You know, it's just that sometimes it's nice to have that opinion. Oh, okay, you know, maybe they'll just require some therapy and you can kind of get to the bottom of why he's angry or, you know,